Ayo Dada. I'm a captain at Adidas Runners London. Welcome to Miles from Home with Pro Direct Running. In each episode, we'll be focusing on a theme within running. This episode is all about motivation. Join me as I invite some special guests and some friends as we explore motivation and how it can impact us as athletes. Motivation is something that affects everyone, from Olympic athletes to everyday athletes. We're going to unlock some tips to help you push through. Let's get Fiona English on the line. Fiona is a good friend of mine, an Adidas Runners London runner, competing in everything from 5K to ultra distance. She's ultra inspirational. Let's get on. Fiona.
Hey.
How you doing? How's your corner of London?
Yeah, it's pretty weird. I'm on zone 1, zone 2 border. So I've got if you go to any of the parks, it's crazy busy. But if you go to the West End and Soho, it's dead quiet.
Your running journey is pretty awesome, and I always say you're an awesome person, inspiration in the running community in London itself. I want to know a bit more about your background in your running journey, but where was the point where running took that notch up?
While I totally agree, we're all runners. I passionately believe if you want to have a go at running, you are a runner and should be defined that way. I wasn't. So I was at school in particular would pretend I was very good at faking falling over to get out of sport. At uni, put on weight, as I think lots of people do when they go away and you aren't cooking for yourself and just struggling with different patterns. And then probably about 9 years ago now, I just literally woke up one day and thought, I want to be the kind of person that says I've run a marathon. So I signed up, didn't know anyone who ran, signed up for a marathon, lived in really rural England and just trained really hard and went literally I couldn't run that very first run. I could not run let alone round the block. I couldn't run to the end of the road. And went from that to doing my first marathon. Super slow, 5 hours 44, but I am so proud of that, more so probably than anything I've done to date. And then I think since then, I've just had such confidence in myself and a realization that people like me should be represented in sport, and that sport is for everybody. And I think that's really changed my running journey. And then in turn, I've kind of almost looked for the pockets in running where there in particular are less women. And then kind of looked for the space of right, there's only 5 women competing in this race. Great, I'm going to compete because people like me should be in races like this. And I think that that's really changed how far I've gone and how long I've gone, therefore.
And you've run some crazy distances, different terrains, some awesome PBs. What has helped you stay motivated? You spoke about your internal motivation for getting into running. What has kept you going?
I think normally outside of lockdown, I'm surrounded by amazing people that I just want to run with. And that's really inspiring. And that really changes how I feel about running, whether that's running with my mum at parkrun in 35 minutes and she's trying to smash around for a PB, or whether that's running with someone who's never really run before or doesn't have the confidence to run, particularly on the streets in London, be that a woman who's felt running is not for them or they get heckled when they run. So I think that's usually a massive motivation is the community and the people. And especially in London, we are so lucky to be surrounded by so many different amazing groups that you can take part in free activities. But obviously for me as well, parkrun is a big thing of that, a really diverse community of people who run and who aren't like you. So you're kind of creating your own communities. That's obviously really strange in lockdown. And I think in particular having I had a massive goal. I was trying to run my first 100 miler this year, and my race, obviously it looks like it's not happening, nor could I train for 100 miler, trapped inside and not able to get to the trails. But I think my motivation has become more about how I feel about myself and my self-identity when I run. I definitely feel in a more positive mental space when I'm running. I think I'm able to be a better version of me when I run. And I think that's everything. At the minute, I'm trying to challenge myself on my 5K time because I can't chase down a normal goal. I don't have any races. So that's what's manageable. I'm kind of trying to break down this time into chunks. So I've given myself an 8-week block to try and bring down my 5K time, which I think is something that I can see and achieve and benchmark and still communicate with my friends online. but is achievable with the limitations that we have.
People now are experiencing lack of motivation. How can they get through it positively, not negatively? Because there's bad motivation, as we said, quality of motivation, and there's good motivation. What advice would you give?
Look for things that you find positive online. And if you find something negative or that gives you negative headspace, unfollow, like get out of that headspace. You don't need it in your life. So if and that could be as simple as like, there are incredible athletes, but if that athlete actually is causing you to have a negative pattern and thinking, oh, I can't run a 16-minute 5K, maybe just mute them. That's fine. Like, you can still be for them. You can still cheer them on from the sidelines, but find the influences that are positive to you online. And I think online has so much power in terms of motivation, but also it can be really easy to let it fester in a really unhealthy way. And so I think just choosing to disassociate sometimes from online stuff is really helpful. Maybe choosing to run without a watch, taking yourself off from some of those platforms and remembering the reason why you run. And so that could be like setting yourself a really silly challenge that is completely unassociated. I also really believe that we should set goals that aren't just about splits and times, but that either about, like, not to sound OTT, but about self-growth and other forms of fitness. Like, fitness isn't only about speed. And so maybe now is a really good time to get stronger, or, you know, as runners, shock horror, improve your flexibility.
Back to goals. So you were preparing for this, your first 100-miler, again, amazing distance. How was it letting that race go? I guess because it would have been tough, heartbroken. You've let it go. How did you feel about that?
Like, weirdly, the race is still happening, but I've chosen not to be in it. So it's due to be happening in the first week of August, and I'm out. I'm really happy with that decision. I'm not running. There's so much uncertainty already, and sitting in that uncertainty and feeling like I was missing out on training, particularly because I really don't care how fast I run, but I always want to give everything my all. So I want to stand on that start line and be like, I showed up today, and I like really committed to it, and I couldn't have tried harder. And if I fail today, that's totally fine, but I gave it my all. And I don't think I would ever be able to do that in lockdown. And so I just felt like I was cheating myself, or like not being true to myself. Or so ever since I've made the decision that I'm not running, I feel amazing. I feel way happier. There'll be other years to run 100-milers. There'll be other years to do nuts challenges. And I think coming back to that motivation question, like, it comes back to, well, why do I run? Like, I don't run to prove to other people something about who I am. I don't need the badge of having said I have or haven't run X, Y, or Z, or done this triathlon, or like, that doesn't matter to me. It's something far more personal. And I think by choosing that this is not the year, therefore I'm going to run races, it's given me back the control of running, of like, actually, you know what, running is for me, and I can let that get warped at times. So I'm trying to see it as a real positive. Like, it's reminded me of what my goal is, why it exists. The whole reason I originally decided I wanted to do a 100-miler is because I am so inspired by the fell runners of Great from like the Lake District and Scottish mountain runners. And I wanted to do a 100-miler because in my head, that would mean that I might be able to do the Bob Graham round one year, which is this like crazy nuts mountain run that happens where there's no medals, there's no prizes, there's no day. It's just you and the mountains.
Awesome. That's so should.
And that like purity of challenge is what it comes back to me. Like, that's the most important thing, is that purity of like, I think this might genuinely be impossible. And that's really cool to discover. If I give it everything, can I make something that seems impossible possible?
The North Star has to come from within. It has to be internal, because of course there are medals there, and some runners, competitions are their kind of opportunity to keep on going. But also it's also the community, and I want to go back to the community and the communities you're part of, and the kind of, how have they helped you during this period?
Owning that this is a weird situation and that maybe your running's not going to be perfect is also really powerful, rather than us all trying to present kind of fake Instagram friendly realities. And I think that's where community has real power, because people can actually speak in a real sense about how stuff really is. And the thing that's definitely nice about stuff like Adidas runners, or even park runners doing something similar, is this like you know, we're doing online quizzes and we're like baking together. Like, we don't need to run together to be the running community. That looks really different in lockdown, but we still are the running community. That's like our identity. That's who we are. It doesn't change.
During this period, we're seeing communities come to life, be it local communities, be it kind of medical communities. Everything is just coming to life, and it's good to see us being kind to each other. But also, I guess we also need to be kind to ourselves when it comes to motivation. Again, what advice would you give to runners at the moment for them to be kind to themselves? Of course, their races aren't happening, but how do they just take time and try and be present and try and be happy?
So getting rid of I think there's a really great quote that is, comparison is the thief of joy. And so getting rid of comparison, and that's not just of other runners, that's also of yourself. So not saying, oh, but I should be able to run X fast. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, that is the kind of biggest killer of joy. And probably for most of us, the reason that we primarily run is for that joy and that sense of freedom, which definitely we're struggling with in lockdown. Like, that sense of freedom has gone. So where can we find it? And I think any form of comparison that you can remove, which is why my challenge is like, can you run without your watch? Can you not put it on Strava? Can you not tell anyone that you did the run? Can you just do it like a secret mission? I also think there's real power in mixing up what you do at the minute. So if you're usually like a 5K road runner, then why not try being a 10K trail runner? Or if you usually only run on the flat, then maybe try hills. Like, it's a really fun time to experiment, because there are no races and goals. Like, you're not going to mess anything up. So it's a great time to just see what you like and try things that maybe in the past have scared you a bit. And you might be really surprised. You might feel really empowered, because ultimately, probably, and this is not to seem self-centered, but probably my biggest motivation is me. Like, the person who inspires me the most is me, that went out and did, like, I hate running track, but at the minute I've been committed to going to track once a week.
That's what.
Because I'm like, to all my friends, I'll be like, I don't go to track. I'm a trail runner. I don't do track. I run ultras. I don't do speed. But like, why not? Like, it doesn't matter if I'm slower. It doesn't matter. It's actually quite fun to, in 20 minutes, be able to get the same kind of buzz that I might normally get in 16 hours.
But look, Fiona, thank you so much. Really enjoyed speaking with you. Some really good tips there for runners, triathletes, but just anyone kind of feeling unmotivated at the moment, as it's affecting everyone. But thank you so much. Keep spreading the running gospel.
Thanks for everything you do for our community, Ayo. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Now we're going to see what life is like for a professional athlete. We're speaking with Jamie Webb, who's an Adidas athlete representing Team GB in the 800 meters and is looking forward to the Olympics next year. What is life like for you right now? It must be pretty crazy. Like, there's no race in sight. Like, I guess even for myself as just an amateur athlete, but you as a professional athlete, we don't know when the next race is. So what is life like for you?
It was a really busy year last year. So I was competing like crazy. I did a whole indoor season and a whole outdoor season. And then the outdoor season, with the World Championships being late, because they were in Doha because of the heat. So because they were so late, I ended up competing, I think it was 8 months out of 12.
Wow.
And all the way through to October. And then it was like, okay, October's over, really short break. Now we're getting ready for the Olympic trials, which were meant to be in June. So yeah, it's kind of gone the opposite of crazy. It was crazy, and now it's like really just kind of a bit boring. But I think the big thing for me has been taking a step back and just realizing that I've got more time now, and trying to look at it as a bit of a positive, giving my body a little bit of a break, because it's been such a long year, like not a complete rest, but having a view forward to, okay, well, the Olympics are now a year away. I can sort of just tick over this summer and keep fairly fit, and target a really big 2021, because a lot of the championships actually haven't been cancelled. They've just been postponed, as you know. So what it really means is that 2021 and 2022 have like a really crammed calendar. So yeah, for my body, I've sort of taken it as I can take a nice step back, a really long approach through to what I'm now looking at January, probably before I compete, over 800 meters. I'll target an indoor season, and hopefully when all the races come back and some local cross countries and local road races and our national road relays and things like that, I'll be able to get involved in them through September, sort of through winter as my fitness base. So yeah, I've sort of switched my mind onto January.
So your training cycle has changed. So are you pushing yourself as you were when you were in that kind of competition phase, or have you actually? What does your schedule look like at the moment?
I've definitely switched it up. I'm doing a little less volume, just basically trying to reduce that injury risk really. And my plan is like July and August, there'll be a kind of a trimmed down version of what my winter training week has looked like, so that I can keep a nice tick over endurance-y base, so that when I start adding in the more intense sessions and the bigger volume, my body's kind of ready to handle it. That's the plan. It'd be great if things always went to plan, but yeah, hopefully next year it'll be a really nice year. And yeah, I think it's, for a lot of us, it was a rushed year off the back of the World Championships to get ready for the Olympics. So I think it's given us another year of training and actually a nice long preparation to get ready for a really busy year.
How is your kind of mindset at the moment? Of course, you said goals are now changed, training cycles have changed, your periodization cycles changed. How did you have to shift your mindset from knowing there is no Olympics in this year to now I'm gonna have to compete at a later stage, but it's not a big event? How was that for you?
It's changed all the way through really, because it was, although obviously the Olympics being cancelled was a disappointment, but everything, as you can imagine, everything becomes more and more intense week on week, month on month. And when you're thinking, for me it was about the Olympic trials in June, because without performing at the Olympic trials there's no Olympics. So for me it was about being ready for that. And as soon as that goal goes, it's kind of like a bit of a weight off the shoulders, but there's a whole deflation, kind of like your season's like not over, but it's sort of, you lose that real narrow focus, because I think a lot of people think we're like really focused all the time, but that's almost impossible. So I like to be kind of relaxed, enjoy it, go through the motion, and then as I just get closer and closer, I can narrow it down, and things, every little thing becomes a bit more important all the way through. So yeah, I've kind of gone back to the beginning, where I'm just trying to enjoy it and get out there and, as I said, stay fit and healthy and keep myself sort of rounded fit, so that I'm really raring to go when it's time again.
Of course, now we're all at home, and for you you have that focus, competing in sight. Do you have any days where you just don't feel like training? Do you have any advice for others that are kind of experiencing a lack of drive and that little motivation to do the things they enjoy and love?
I think the big thing is like motivation. Of course, like motivation fleets. Some days you wake up and think, I'm going to take over the world, and you just like smash everything and it's easy. But some days you just can't be bothered. Especially in lockdown, I think everyone, I don't think there's anyone who would say that like emotions haven't been a bit more extreme, and you have bigger highs and bigger lows, and you're like, oh, what's, like, you just lose sort of a lot of motivation at times. Yeah, I find routine is probably my biggest key to that. One, knowing what I want to achieve. So if I'm targeting, for example, January, I know that like if I'm trying to be the best at something, then I can't be slacking off. Like if I'm going to miss a run, there's people out there who are doing that. If I'm going to miss a certain part of my training, there's people out there who are doing that. So I find my discipline is probably more important than my motivation. And I find routine, for me, routine is really key to that.
You said that having a routine, it keeps you accountable. When your motivation is gone, you can really, the routine can just activate and get things going. For runners out there, what advice would you give them to get into a routine, to develop a routine? Because routines are unique. So what advice would you give to runners to set their own routine?
It's making something that fits for you and works for you, and not making changes too drastically. But if you've got a run to do every day, then like get home from work, get straight into your running kit and go out and do it. You come home and you laze around a little bit, you can get into that lethargy, and then you're like, oh, do I really want to go? And the answer is usually no. And you just like, it's cold outside or this, that, and the other. It starts
Yeah,
to go
you
down.
make excuses.
Really, really miserable about the cold weather when we're just in the summer. But yeah, you've got to keep that. Just know what you're going to do and that routine to your day and having it there. So yeah, I'm going to run every day at 6, or I'm going to run every day when I get home from work, or whatever works for you.
What's your home setup like?
It's part of the reason I came home. I've got a treadmill and squat rack in the garage, and I've got sort of spin bike and like the sort of dumbbell weights that I need. So it's not too bad. I can get all my gym in at home, which I'm really fortunate for to have. Yeah, and obviously we're allowed out to exercise a lot more now.
Sure. The fact that we can go out, like I said, it's really nice. And I know you can bosh out a pretty fast 10 and 5K. What kind of road workouts and sessions have you been doing?
Part of my base is like tempo runs. I don't love a tempo run. I hate them, but they're good for me. So yeah, my sort of standard tempo run is like 9 mile volume, but 5 mile hard in the middle. And so I go like 2 mile, relax, straight into 5 mile, 2 mile down. But yeah, variety, fartleks are great. Just sort of going, I'm going to do about 20 minutes worth of effort and breaking it up as you feel. Of half recovery. So you can go like 3 minutes, 90-second jog, 2 minutes, 60-second jog, 3 minutes again, 90-second jog, 5 minutes, whatever you feel like, throw a few 30 seconds in there. They're great for motivation and just having a bit of variety.
Before we round up, we always ask, what Adidas shoe are you training in at the moment? I've had a little spy. You're a bit of a variety man.
Yeah, Solibus is my go-to mileage shoe. This is like my bedrock. This is the shoe I do everything in. I actually have 4 shoes that are my general training shoe. That sort of, if I had to for everything to cover. So this is my like general mileage, easy runs, stuff out on the road, like my sort of volume shoe that keeps me in one piece. I love it. For my tempo runs,
love this
out on the road. I love the Boston.
Yes, go-to shoe.
So the Boston's for me, obviously made for the marathon. The Boston's for me if I'm doing a little slightly faster tempo, like what I said before, 9 mile with 5 mile faster in between. I'll throw the Boston's on. When I race like a 5K or something like that, then it's all about the Takumis. These are the best. These are the best road racing shoes. Without a doubt, I love them. The grip on the bottom and the sort of aggression that you get out of them. So I'll do my track sessions in these in the winter. So my longer track sessions, so something like 8 by 800 meters or something like that. And then yeah, these would be what I'd race a 5K in, and speed work. The MDs, my Adidas MDs. So yeah, these made with Rhodesia, world record spikes, but not my world record, but world record spikes. So yeah, the MDs, I think like these are the nicest spike I've ever run in. They're my favorite by far.
Jamie, thank you so much for this. Really enjoy speaking with you. Absolute pleasure. Good luck with training. Hope everything goes well. You're keeping safe and well. And I'm sure we'll bump into each other after all this is done. I would love to come down and train with you guys over in Battersea.
Yeah, it'd be nice to actually. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Thank you. Let's get Grace on. Grace Rowland is a good friend of mine, an Adidas runners coach, and an NHS hero. Hello, Grace. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I know it's been so long, like since March.
I can't believe it. I was actually thinking about one of the last times that we had our long runs. It was like pouring with rain.
Yeah, I think would love for it. Would love to go back to that now. To be fair,
I'll give anything for those Saturday.
I really want to start off with something. I was looking on your Instagram the other day, and you said something about you don't need a race, a bib, and a medal to be a runner. But how can people overcome the fact that they've got no races, and how do they kind of strive to continue?
What I found was you do lose your identity, because I think we get sucked into this world as kind of like endurance runners to think that we need a race or the medal at the end to be a runner. I don't know, I kind of find like people in running are known by their times. Like Eliud Kipchoge is now like the sub 2 hour marathon guy, or like you're the Boston qualifier and guy or vice versa and stuff like that. And I find that when you strip it back, we all kind of run for similar reasons. It's not just about the times, the medals or the races. And I think at the moment, when we first found out that, you know, the marathons had been cancelled, the halves had been cancelled, it was kind of a big shock. And we were like, well, who are we if we haven't got races? But we're still runners at the end of the day, regardless. And I think maybe it's about stripping it back and really working out and finding out why we started running in the first place. It strips it back and there's just absolutely no pressures on us now. And now's the time we can go out and have fun when we run.
I totally agree. Like, now is actually the time to relieve ourselves of some pressure. And we're seeing that there's so many runners out at the moment, and it feels like there's a new running boom about to happen. What do you think is motivating people to get out and run?
I'm definitely not a psychologist, but I remember when we first went down to, like, the lockdown came in and it was quite strict, like here in the UK, and we could only exercise for once a day for about an hour. And I think having that taken away from us made us want it more. I think it definitely gave us some kind of like subconscious reason for getting out each day. It was essentially our 1 hour of freedom where we can do what we want. And when we talk about like motivation, I think it's quite a tricky word, because if we really break motivation down, it can either be like intrinsic motivation, which refers to behaviours that arise from within the individual, and then we have like the extrinsic motivation, which refers to behaviours that are driven by like external rewards, so say like races, PBs, Instagram glory, but I feel like the intrinsic motivation is what we're all using now, and that's more say like freedom, escapism, like for social maybe, or even that like runner's high. And when I see these people, when I see like people and other runners around the park now, it's like absolutely amazing, because they're people that I wouldn't normally see. And they're not people flying around. They're people that have probably been in the house the whole day. I'm excited to see what running is going to be like after this, you know, this is all over, because I think we're going to see parkruns are going to be zooming up.
Yeah, I think definitely we're going to see a running resurgence, and I guess it'll be good for the health of the nation. But just on the kind of on the health of on the mental health of the nation, of course, like we said, motivation has two sides. There's the inward motivation and there's the outward motivation. And now some people may not be motivated, and it's okay not to be motivated. Are you speaking with people who are lacking that kind of motivation?
I think it comes down to being disciplined. I think discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't want to do it. Because there are a lot of days that I don't feel motivated. It's bringing it back to your why. If you have a journal, reading that up, and also just being disciplined and thinking, you know what, the motivation is not there, but I'm going to feel amazing after this. I'm going to have this runner's high, and it's going to be worth it.
I think it's always good to pivot back to that why. Like once you understand your why, when things get tough, you can always just pivot back to that. You'd be like, okay, this is the reason I started to run. But you said something there about making running fun. People are doing challenges, they're doing virtual races. I'm seeing communities come alive, like communities that were just doing actual physical activities have now migrated online, and they've just adopted that digital identity, and they're fun. And it is fun. But how can we make it more fun going forward?
Someone at work the other day, I said like running is fun, and they were like, what? Running isn't fun. And I remember I was running the London Marathon, and I saw a sign, and it was like, do people that run marathons know they don't have to? I was just like, I nearly like, when I ran past and I saw it, I was like, yeah, I mean, why are we doing this? But no, I think running can be fun. And I think because we literally don't have anything to train for a minute, we can strip it right back to the fundamentals. We can put like fun back into running. Like, I don't know, like when I was at school, like running was something we did for like a punishment in a sense. Like, you know, we were talking in class in like a PE lesson, so we're running laps. But whereas like now, I think most people run for a lot of other reasons. It's not a form of punishment, you know, all the things we spoke about earlier, mental health, physical health, social reasons. And I think some of the ways that I've found trying to put the fun back into running recently is keep the runs varied, and even change up your runs. like if you want to go somewhere else, hit another path. There's no time pressures. You haven't got to be stopping your watch and worrying about traffic light. Another thing I've been doing is, because I'm trying not, I don't know about you, but I'm trying not to pay too much attention to speed at the minute. But what I have been doing is, in my runs, I've been adding in like hotspot miles. So maybe I'll have like a bit of an easy, like 3 kilometers, and then for 1 kilometer I'll really dial up and I'll go for it, and then I'll have another 3 kilometers.
Yeah, that's absolutely quality. Yeah, I think what you're saying there about keeping it varied, it definitely spices things up. Mixing up the long runs with the short and fast stuff keeps things varied, especially now, as you know, that you don't know when your race is. So yeah, variety is definitely the spice of life. On the Adidas Runners community, yeah, we're a global community, over 60 cities. Magic is happening in each of the cities, and I see motivation all the time, whether it's happening in Bogota, it's happening in Singapore. Like, everyone's come together to support each other. How can runners keep on motivating each other? What would you suggest?
Definitely find a buddy, and like maybe doing like a pre-run, like getting the mood Zoom call, like psyching yourselves up, like doing some like glute work, some pre-activation, because like now we have the time to do all this stuff. Like we have absolutely like no excuses not to be doing our prehab now. So like get on a Zoom call, do your prehab, you know, activate your glutes, do a warm up, and then go for your run afterwards, get the Zoom back on again and do like a post-run foam roll. Like I think that is a great way to, you know, help other people, because, you know, the person that your body might not be motivated at that time. So that is, they know that come 5:30, they've got that Zoom call with you. You're going to do your prehab, you're going to go out for a run, and then they get to have like a post-run chat, because we haven't got that social side of things.
Totally agree. We might be physical distancing, but we should try and keep the social connections there. And yeah, I really love the buddy system. On the topic of running shoes, what Adidas shoes are you wearing at the moment, and why?
I am wearing my Adidas Solar Boosts, but it's quite a cop-out question because they're my favourite running shoes. I'm always wearing them, and also because I'm doing a lot more walking, I'm wearing them as well. So I'm like definitely looking. I'm like, these are getting a lot of miles in them.
Proper versatile shoe, I think, is very durable. You can use it for short and long distances, and yeah, it's made for us runners. But look, Grace, thank you so much for that great conversation. Yeah, thank you so much again. Let's keep the magic rolling.
Definitely.
Okay.
So there you have it. On behalf of Pro Direct Running and Adidas, we hope you've enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for tuning in. Drop us a comment to let us know how you're keeping motivated and what you'd like to see in future videos. Take care, stay safe, keep on moving. Bye.